A total lunar eclipse happens when the sun, the earth, and the moon all line up in space. So the moon moves into Earth's shadow, and the earth blocks most of the light from the sun. But some does get up to the moon, and it's that light from around the edges of the earth that are passing through a lot of the atmosphere, just like we see sunrises and sunsets turn the sky red. Well, that red light from all of the sunrises and the sunsets happening on Earth at that time are projected onto the moon and turn it a beautiful red color. And before that, we see actually the moon getting what looks like bites taken out of it, as if it were a big cookie in space, as we have partial phases as the moon begins to move into Earth's shadow and then comes out of it after the total lunar eclipse. I think it's fun and a delicious thing to think about. And especially on Pi Day, so you can have your lunar cookie and a piece of pie. It's kind of a rare event to have it on Pi Day. There's no like direct association, but because the first three numbers of pi are 3.14, and this is the third month and the 14th day. We call it Pi Day, and so pi is actually a really important number for calculating, when the shadow of the Earth will fall onto the moon. And so it's a beautiful celebration of science as well as a delicious one. We don't see a lunar eclipse every month, just like we don't see a solar eclipse every month, because the moon is actually tilted in its plane as it orbits the Earth. So the Earth and all the planets are on the ecliptic plane. They're sort of like one giant hula hoop. If it had a big disk and it emanated out from the sun, they're all on that plane. The moon is tilted a little bit on the plane. And so sometimes the moon rises above the shadow of the Earth, and sometimes it goes below the shadow of the Earth. So it actually those planes have to align in order for the moon to be in the shadow of the Earth and for us to see a total lunar eclipse. I am probably going to set an alarm clock. So because it's happening so late. So the partial phases will start happening a little bit after 1 a.m. on the East Coast. But the total lunar eclipse isn't until a little before 2:30 in the morning, and I'm normally asleep at that time. So I might get up a little bit before the total eclipse, because I really like to see the partial phases, and I like to see that last bite sort of until we see the moon really all become red and brown, and the colors actually change a little orangey over the course of the total lunar eclipse. And then I'll probably stay up and see a little bit of the partial phases in the end, and then I think I'll go back to bed.